Oh, you got a shrimp shack, in Hawaii.
Really? There's Ioane Shrimp Shack?
Giovanni.
Oh, Giovanni Shrimp Shack, that's right. I got a pastrami shop in Waikiki
That's
also.
true, right?
I love Giovanni pastrami. Yeah, same name.
Famous.
Same name around the Mediterranean. But it's funny because in Greece, it's a very common, it's John. It's a very common name. They usually have an S at the end though. Giannis. Or Ioannis.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, they spelled the same and everything.
Makes me want to try out Greece now, actually. I never noticed that, actually.
Gavin's Greek.
Gavin is Greek?
I bet you. I
I wonder
Gavin
what it is
Greek.
in Italian, then. Gavin. Gavin. You gotta use the hands. You gotta always use the hands.
I bet.
They were gonna name me Jeff before, so Geoff.
Yeah, Jeff, like Jeffrey.
Yeah, and I was like, what? I'm glad they named me Gavin instead of Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff. No offense to all the Jeffs out there, but that is the plainest name ever. Well, I think Bob is the other one. Right?
Well, I think I might take Bob over Jeff.
Really?
Yeah.
You kind of look like Bob. But Gavin fits you. Gavin's awesome.
Yeah, I like Gavin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back to Hawaii Real, everybody. I'm your host, Iokehu. Quick shout out to our beverage host, Hawaiian Springs Water, alkaline beverage here. And I have my special guest here, Gaven Sugai. Thank you so much for coming on from the Talk Story podcast. They used to be the Talk Story podcast, and now it's the
Kampai Sugai.
Kampai Sugai.
Yep.
And
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, awesome. Thank you for coming down. I love doing this whole crossover podcast thing. And I love picking your brain about just the technical aspects. You've been talking to me about like the audio parts and everything like that, because you were an audio visual guy before you started podcasting. So you kind of had a background in all that. And me, I had like none of that. So I was like trying to build up my knowledge here, and I love taking advice and picking people's brains.
Well, you did a really good job, I think. You have a good setup.
Thanks.
For someone this isn't their field. This is great.
Yeah, it's totally not my field. I'm totally out of the water here.
Well, technically, audiovisual is not my field anymore because I do accounting stuff. But I have the experience.
Yeah.
But still, this is great. This is a great setup. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and before we get going, this episode is brought to you by the Native Hawaiian Hospitality Association. The Native Hawaiian Hospitality Association was founded by iconic Hawaiian leaders who understood the implications, opportunities, and impacts that Hawaii's largest industry was having on the people of Hawaii, Hawaiian culture, local ways, and our state's natural and cultural resources. Supported by the Hawaii Tourism Authority, NAHA promotes and perpetuates the authentic spirit of aloha and Hawaiian culture in hospitality, industry planning, promotion, and product development. You're going to want to check out this great organization at www.nahha.com. You can check them out at their new website, kuhikuhi.com. That's a business directory for Native Hawaiian-owned businesses. So go check them out, kuhikuhi.com. All right, Gavin, again, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
It's like, what are we going to talk about? So,
we can talk about anything.
well, I mean, the water's awesome. Oh, we're talking about your name and the origins of Gavin. And I keep thinking back. I'm going to look it up on my phone here. I'm thinking back to like Star Wars, like Yavin. Like,
it's funny. Okay, so speaking on Star Wars a little bit, because my past few episodes that I've recorded have been with Star Wars, which I'm not a Star Wars fan, but we just end up talking about Star Wars. Oh, okay. I'll explain myself, right? I'm not a Star Wars mega fan. My wife is a Star Wars mega fan.
Nice. I'm liking your wife. I'm a Star Wars mega fan.
Okay. So she goes deep into it. She goes into like the history. She actually made a fan kind of fiction,
Of her own?
Yeah.
Nice.
Of her own. She didn't film it or anything, but she has the script and everything written
Ooh.
out. Dealing with Star Wars. But, and I help her out. More on the logistical side of like, I watch like The Flash and stuff like that. And so I'm like, oh, you should add this into the episode or, certain things.
So different story parts and stuff?
Yeah, just to build suspense or, keep people watching. So, but in terms of Star Wars, I don't know the history and stuff. I just watch the movies and I'm like, okay, that's Luke,
The guy with the green lightsaber. Yeah.
That's Chewbacca. That's the furry one. I know he's the furry one.
Okay. So we got some good info on Gavin. Gavin is a given name originating from Scotland.
Oh, Scotland. Okay, it's
Yeah.
not Sweden.
Meeting God Send.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't
Derivative
know
of
about that.
King Arthur's Round Table, Sir Gawain.
Oh,
And from
no.
Gawain, they changed the W to like a V sound and
Oh, no.
Gawain, Gavin. But
That sounds like a baby name of saying
well,
Gavin.
no, interesting here. It says it can also mean white hawk. What, dude?
White Hawk.
White hawk, which is cool because my name in Hawaiian, Io, is the Hawaiian hawk.
Okay.
Hey, hawk. Hey, nice to meet you.
Hawkeye, White Hawk, you know?
Yes, yes, awesome, cool. But I once told that to somebody. He totally misheard me. He's like, "What does Io mean?" I was like, "Hawk." He's like, "Honk? Why would your parents call you honk?" I'm like, "No, not honk, you idiot."
Oh yeah. Well, then when you drive your car and then when you press on your horn, it says EO instead.
Io. Yeah, that'd be a funny horn to have.
Well, it would make people stop because they'll be like, "What the hell's going on?"
I would love to have one of those Mexican horns. The taco truck.
That might keep them going though. I don't know if that'll stop.
No,
them.
it'll totally. Well, we want them to go. I don't want them to stop. When I beat my horn, I want people to go. Because usually like they're going too slow. I think the taco truck will make them stop and look for tacos.
Yeah, and then they'll see your car and then they go, "Oh, he doesn't have any tacos."
Yeah, no tacos in my car.
He's not a Manapua man. He doesn't. I don't see anything. There's no Manapuas there. You know.
So, how did you get started with your Talk Story podcast? I brought you on specifically because I looked at like your Instagram page. You've got a ton of followers.
Thank you.
You've been very successful. Your show is very entertaining, and you do it with your wife, or she has some part to play in helping you produce it.
Heavy part in producing it just to help me out. But honestly, when I started my Talk Story podcast, we talked about it briefly before. What happened was I broke my leg at work in 3 different places, broke my tibia and fibula. I always get the names mixed up, but I broke it. My leg folded, and it was funny because, when I broke, I thought it was a sprain, and it felt like a sprain. It felt like just a sprain in my leg. But when I looked down, I said, "Okay, I'm screwed." All right. And
so you didn't see it first. You just felt it. Like, I sprained myself.
Well, I thought it was a chance that I broke it. I didn't know how bad I broke it, but when I landed and I fell back, I didn't see it. But I was like, okay, I either sprained it really bad or I broke my leg. And I looked at it and it was dangling. I said, okay, yeah, I broke my leg. It's pretty bad. So long story short, I got surgical rod put in. It was brutal. You know, the whole surgery part. Actually, honestly, the recovery part was good because, you know, I went to physical therapy. It was fun. You know, a lot of people say physical therapy sucks, but I am someone that will say it's fun. It's really fun. It depends on who you have as a physical therapist. But shout outs to Joey Aokai, the third. He's the third. I think he's the third. But yeah, he's the third. Great physical therapist. I always tell people, if you need a physical therapist, go to Joy Alkai because that guy is energy, keeps things lively. He's very positive. I've never seen him in a negative light. And he always hyped me up. You know, when always cracked jokes with me when I was there. You know, he would tease me, "Hey, why don't we go run across the street?" You know what I mean? I was like, I have my crutches still. I don't know if I could run, but just a positive guy, and he helped me through it, you know, getting through the process of healing. But during that healing process, you know, but actually I'll take it back a bit. Before I got injured, maybe a month before I got injured, this was July of 2017. And I wanted to do interviews. You know, I wanted to do filming or just wanted to do films or just short films or something. And when I got hurt, I was like, okay, I can't do that now because I'm stationary. I don't know what my future holds, right? But I decided to, you know, I had a hard time watching TV because I had a small screen at the edge of my bed, And I can't really just go up to the edge of my bed and be like, okay, I want to watch TV right now.
The irony that what caused you to break your leg was 90-inch TV and you're stuck watching like this little TV.
Right, yeah. I wish I could take one of those 90-inch flat screens at home, then it would be easier for me. But because of that, I actually found podcasting, something, audio, and I could just listen to it. I listen to a lot of dumb podcasts, a lot of stuff I could just turn my brain off because I feel like I'm thinking all day. I'm like, oh, I could just turn my brain off here and just listen to people make fool of themselves. And I said, this is genius. Why didn't I do this before? So I said, when I get healed, when I take out my surgical rod, I'm going to go into podcasting. And literally maybe a couple months after I produced my first episode with my wife. And it was funny. We did it in our sleep clothes, it was just funny. I took a bath and then I was like, why don't we record something? And we just sat across each other and I didn't have any questions. It was funny because I had a UH alert because I used to work at Winter Community College. I had a UH alert about someone doing weird things at Kapiolani Community College that day. I was like, oh, why don't we just talk about this real quick, And that was the first segment. My wife always wants me to cut that segment out, but I was like, no, we got to keep
Those
it
are
in.
the entertaining segments.
We had to keep it in because it was a weird guy doing some indecent stuff in his car. Apparently that was the UH alert. And it went out to everybody.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, we got to talk about this. And then we talked about
People are sick and dirty, man.
Yeah, So that was the beginnings of Talk Story Podcasts. And from there, I just continued on.
So we'll backtrack a little bit. What made you want to start interviewing people? Because you say you wanted to interview people before you had your accident.
Mm-hmm. Mostly because I wanted to meet different people, meet different just entertainment. I think we have a lot of talent here in Hawaii. And I feel like when people come here, it's more just paradise. We're just going to just party, do vacations, go to Jermaine's Luau, you know what I mean?
Shout out to Jermaine's.
Yeah. Do the tourist stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like we have a lot of like business owners and people that we just have a lot of people here that are unknown, but they produce great quality stuff. So I wanted to put people in that light, give them that platform that they can talk about it. You know what I mean? And I feel like I did. I met a lot of great people during my first stint as a podcaster. I met a lot of people. I got to do some crazy stuff. I think one of the crazy things was I did a podcast on Mauna Kea.
Nice.
That was during the time of the TMT being wanting to be built. Right. And I was like, no, screw this. I don't want this dumb telescope on the mountain.
So you flew out there.
I flew out there and I said, and I refused to do video podcasts. I did not want to do video podcasts. And I said, okay, if I have to start video podcasts, this is the one. Mm-hmm. And I decided to do this big thing where I got different guests on top of it, filmed them. So I filmed Passion Santos, which was crazy because I met her at a rally. And I just wanted a statement from her, maybe something like 5 minutes, right? But then it was funny because my audio broke. Or it wasn't working. Uh-huh. So when I recorded her, nothing recorded. And then
it's just video?
It was just me filming her and I couldn't hear her at all. And it was crazy because I was looking for like I kind of broke it down where I wanted to get someone who has been on the front lines, mm-hmm. At the over there protesting, someone who had a political standpoint. Andrea Tupola was the person that filled that role. Koho'okahi Kanuha was the person on the front lines. That was the person that I got to interview as well. Shout out to both of them. Great individuals. I love conversing with both of them, actually. They're amazing people. And Passion Santos was the social media influencer. I wanted someone that was more influencer on the side, looking in, getting their standpoints on why TMT it's a terrible thing. Mm-hmm. And I got them three. And then I also got statements from different people as part of that, just to build that podcast. I just wanted to use it as a representation of like, there's this is why people are fighting against TMT. This is why it's wrong.
Yeah.
So that's why people are stepping out. They wanna stand up for Mauna Kea. So I wanted to give people that representation.
Well, did you find that there were other people doing that the same thing, or there weren't enough people doing the same thing that you were doing? Because it sounds like you were almost going up there as like a journalist also.
It was okay, so the news of course would cover it, but short segments.
Right.
And it's
I remember watching, yeah.
That's a different narrative, because and I wanted to do something that didn't have a narrative. It was just the narrative was this is what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
These are the people talking. This is their whole story for, 40 minutes or whatever. We're not cutting it and we're not editing to splice, a 1 minute segment of important things or just slew the things that they said one way or another. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And it was, I wanted to do something that was authentic because I feel like the stuff that was up there was more like nice videos, but I feel like people had stuff to say, and I wanted to get that out there. And I feel like I did it justice. And it was funny because I was thinking, I thought of it like, in a way, David Ige, of course, he's Japanese. I'm Japanese. So I think people would think about like me doing something like that for them. Like, oh, he's just doing it for the views. He's just, he's not really authentic with it, and I was surprised that the reception was really good. I only have one negative comment, which I expected. I expected more.
Yeah.
But I only had one person who was like, oh, you screw you, you're Japanese, you're doing this, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay. I mean, I expected one person at least. But I think the other 99%, I was really surprised, but also happy that it was, people were really receptive to it.
Yeah.
And I spent money to do, to go up there to just film for one day. I did everything in one day.
Yeah, props to you for doing that. That's not something I did. The thought had crossed my mind, but I was like, no, I don't have the money to travel. I don't really want to put myself out there and do that. And you had the courage to actually freaking do it. So props to you for doing that, man.
Thank you.
And yeah, I find a lot of parallels with the reasons why I started also, and just that story you just had with wanting to interview people and hear their full stories that are unedited, and talking story and getting them. I've had a lot of business people on and talking through just their business and getting deeper into who are they? Like, yeah, okay, this is what your business does. This is great and everything, blah, blah, blah. But who are you? And at the end, why should someone do business with you? They're going to know you better by hearing you and your personal story and your personal likes and dislikes and seeing you laugh and seeing you tear up a little bit or something, So that's one of the things that I really wanted to bring and offer that because, like you said, there's people out there with stories.
Everybody has a story.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's easy to just kind of beat around the bush, talk around, a business and stuff like that. But there's something more about like understanding why someone does what they do, that kind of like, I don't know, it's digging deeper, but it's getting to the core of things, you know what I mean? Because I think entrepreneurs itself, there's something about them, because they started a business, it's a passion of theirs, and they put themselves out there, because if someone starts a business, it's because they're very passionate about it, and even though there's tons of things against them, they could work a traditional job and work for someone else. But the thing is, they started it because, I don't know,
they're a little crazy. Let's be honest. Entrepreneurs out there, we're a little bit crazy. And understanding why they're a little crazy is a beautiful thing, I think, and it's something that people should hear more because it's buying into someone's dreams. Someone else could be inspired by that.
and come out and be like, yeah, I want to start my own business. I want to sell tacos. You know what I mean? Or I want to, change my my car horn to being EO. You know what I mean? Something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Or be a story writer for Star Wars films
Right.
to come out. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, hey, it's all great stuff.
Mhm. And there's like, yeah, it's I don't know how to explain it, but it's something inside them. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I think
I think what you're trying to get at is that and I because I see it too, and I'm looking at people that are into it.
Mhm.
It's their passion, and it's really awesome to watch someone do their passion.
something that's totally out of the ordinary.
Right.
Yeah. Because I think that, I mean, like for me, I'm in accounting field, and for me, I don't think that's my career, my passion. I don't want to do that the rest of my life, but I'm just doing it just to pay for bills for now. But of course, like podcasting or even just content creating in general, that's something I would want to just do the rest of my life. And just being able to, just being able to interview people, meet people, and then dig a little deeper in conversations. I think that's like, I don't know, as a career, I think that's easy, and it's great. It's easy because you're connecting with people. You know what I mean? I think it's harder to crunch numbers and then sit behind a desk than actually getting out there and, connecting with somebody. You know what I mean?
It's really hard as an interviewer to put yourself out there and invite people on when you first start. And I don't know if you experienced that too, but it was hard for me to, I first started out with just my friends. And I was really nervous when I would start inviting people that I didn't know. And, what is my show? Like, why would they want to come on? I think it's much different now because I've been doing it for 2 years. So I have and I have, guests lined up for weeks, but it's still, when I look back on it, one of the hardest parts was trying to find guests and invite them and get them on and convince them.
Yeah, because I understand that when I was first starting off, it was something more like, when I put myself out there, it was hard for me to bring them in. I was thinking, what do I have to offer? I guess.
Yeah.
And then later on, I guess midway through, like maybe after my when I started doing video, it became a little easier to bring people on, and then people would suggest, hey, you should ask this person. It's like, okay, fine, I'll go DM them or something. You know what I mean? One that I almost got. I don't know if we'll revisit it, but it was Jason David Frank.
Who's that?
The White Ranger in the original Power Rangers.
Oh, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, now I know Power Ranger. Okay.
We almost did an episode, but we didn't follow through with it. Maybe now it was, but it's crazy because that one was I went into his DMs, or he actually DM'd me and then I DM'd him back, and then we went back and forth, and he showed me some of his stuff too. So like with getting guests and everything, I don't think it's so much like hard because some people, they have a pitch and stuff like that. I think it's more if you just are consistent with stuff and you just do some crazy things a little bit, right? Entrepreneurs are crazy. So you just do a little bit of crazy things, stuff that maybe like, oh, maybe I should try a trailer or something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if someone sees it, and then they might be like, whoa, I want to kind of learn more about this person's podcast, or, see what they do more. You know what I mean? Just getting the eyes in. But like for me, when I was trying to build a following, it was more I'm just going to try different stuff.
What were some of the crazy things you did?
The Mauna Kea podcast. That was one.
It's not that crazy. I mean, it's awesome.
It was crazy because, I did it in a week.
Yeah.
I did the whole filming, the recording in a week. It was crazy for me to get Andrew Topola on when I had to drive to Turtle Bay Resort because she was doing Miss Samoa pageant. She was one of the judges. So I drove from Kaneohe to Turtle Bay. The interviewer only had 10 minutes, and I interviewed her for this 10 minutes because she had to do the practice run. And then for Koho'okahi Kanuha, I had 15 minutes with him because I went to Mauna Kea, It was raining, pouring rain, and I had to wait for him because he did a media coverage, and then I interviewed him for those 15 minutes, and then he went off to go listen to David Ige's press conference. It was like right after I interviewed him. So, and then some other crazy things like interviewing mayors. That was a crazy thing for me because one, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to go into politics.
Then why did you?
So one of my friends asked me to, I don't want to say his name, but they wanted me to interview somebody.
Yeah.
And they were doing content for him. So they're already kind of organizing their page and everything. And he said, "Oh, we would love to have him on the show." And I was like, I don't know if I want to go into that route because then people might think I'm like biased with candidates and stuff like that. And I don't know if I'm that my kind of show is for politics and stuff. So I sent it out to all the mayors or people running for mayor. And I was like, okay, because I'm doing it for one person, I'm going to let it out. And if anybody wants to be on the podcast, let me know.
Yeah. So how many did you get?
I had 4 others.
Nice.
Yeah. And it was weird because I also did that in a span of a week or 2 weeks. I had a span of 2 weeks.
Jeez. It was crunch time because of the election coming up. And yeah, everybody's trying to cram in their content.
And it was just simple. Like, I made a post, hashtags, whatever, and I tagged them in it, and they saw it, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll be on." And I think it worked because at the time there wasn't really any press coverage of the mayors. You know what I mean? COVID, right? It was hard for media sources to kind of like, okay, how are we going to do debates now or certain things because of COVID? You can social distancing. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, wow, this is a good opportunity for me because, I could just do it from home. I have the setup. I could just do it.
Yeah. So it was all via virtual
it was
interviews?
It was all virtual interviews. But it was just weird because I met a lot of them and their teams. They all had managers, which is pretty crazy.
Well, yeah. I think it's a big thing.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
I would talk to their managers and
then they connect you with the mayor candidate. Yeah.
So it was that was crazy.
But it's a great network opportunity when you do stuff like that because not only are you meeting the mayor, the candidate for mayor, but you're meeting, like you said, the team, and you do a good job on that. Now you have connections with the team going forward into the future. That's what I've seen with this is like you make connections and you keep those connections as you go forward, and it just expands your network so much, ridiculous amount.
So for yourself, like what kind of connections have you made during your stint? Because we talked about a little bit before, but I mean, you've done quite a bit, you know what I mean?
And it's not always like the quote unquote famous people. It's also people that are, lawyers, business owners, people that have clothing stores and stuff like that, that I've made those connections with and have liked the show. But it's also people that have been on the show that can see the value in doing a podcast platform, possibly for their own business. I think that's the greatest connections that I've been able to make is people that can see, oh, hey, we might want to hire you, down the line. Stay in touch. I think those are the biggest connections I've had.
Yeah, that's actually some of my favorite connections are mostly podcasters because I got into podcasting because I wanted to kind of build the podcasting scene in Hawaii, and it's great to see guys like yourself or another guy, Aaron Sakai, who does a podcast. He's been doing it since 2016, I think, maybe even before that, called Sleep Time's Over show, and just connecting with different podcasters because I think it's like I feel like maybe what I'm doing is like the same hard as what you guys are doing because then it's open source radio. It's allowing people a platform to talk story and to conversate and honestly the probably my favorite people I've I've met during podcasting were other podcasters.
Yeah, because we kind of know the hardships you go through to build this.
Yeah.
I think your post on Instagram about why you had stopped your podcast before, and you kind of were touching base on the production behind it and how you're just burnt out. And I had such a connection with that post. It was like, yeah, that's what happens to me like all the time. And I'm just, sometimes I just have to drag myself here to do it. I just have to remind myself that yes, there is an end goal somewhere down the line for this whole thing, and that the continued network connections that I make and the friends that I meet are going to build something bigger, or lead me down to something better, more successful. So I think that's the reason why I'm doing it and continue to do it, even though it's hard work. You saw me did all this setup by myself and everything. It's not easy.
Yeah, I totally get that. And that went into why I stopped my first stint as a podcaster, because I was, there was a week in December of 2019, and I did 5 podcasts in that same week, just 1 week. And I took off from work. I was on winter break from school, and excuse me.
That's me too. I'm burping all the time here.
So I did 5 different podcasts, and I remember I was in downtown
in the span of a week.
Yeah,
dude.
And I was in downtown. I had a ton of equipment. I had like mic stands, and I only had like an hour to record with this person. Shout out to Chris Styles. Chris Styles is the person, but and I was like, I recorded with him, which was amazing. I love that that podcast that I did with him. But I realized, I was like, I got to do something different, with how I'm setting up and everything, because I was exhausted just carrying these bags to the radio station, record with him, then come back, and then, okay, what am I going to do now? And I got to do editing and stuff like that. And so doing the setup and breaking down was exhausting for me. But I wanted to show people that you could do a podcast. You could just, you could do a mobile podcast. I wanted to show people that, but it's not sustainable, because it's hard, for production wise. When you get bigger, you want to do put more cameras in, lights. I mean, it's hard because you got to set it up, then you got to break it down, instead of just having a space for that and then just leaving it there. So when I was during my first stint, this is 2019. This is all before COVID, right? And then actually still months, like January 2020, February 2020, I still met a lot of people right before COVID hit. And it was other podcasters, other people, other entrepreneurs, and I was telling them about this idea. I wanted to start doing like a networking with other podcasters, create like Facebook page or just a group to have different podcasters come on, and just kind of, then we can share each other's knowledge, you know what I mean, our expertise, and we could support each other through that. But then in the back of my mind, of course, I was like, I'm going to start my podcast. I don't know what I was thinking at the time. I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this, but I would love to just help support other podcasters. And then, months, COVID happened. Months after that, I started doing just Zoom podcasts. But, Zoom is kind of...
It's shit.
Yeah.
It's not really a podcast anymore. It's like...
Yeah, it feels weird.
You're not sitting with the person, talking with the person. There's you're in a meeting, basically, because you have those Zoom meetings at work, and it's like, okay, this is the same thing. I just have another one with this other person.
Yeah, or a Zoom lunch. How people
do
Zoom
lunch. Yeah, so you really lose a lot of the personability right there. And so that's why I kind of steered clear of doing Zooms, even to the point where during COVID, like I would meet with a guest and we would wear masks while we're talking on the microphones, and it sounded terrible. And it was okay, we can't do this. So we actually started sitting further apart.
Oh, okay.
In the location.
I mean, it works. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as far as the wires can go from the audio interface.
Yeah.
So something's better than nothing.
Yeah.
But it didn't stop. So that was the main takeaway from that, is just to not stop for me.
Mm.
You know, because I feel like if I stopped, and I congratulate you for starting back up again. Like,
Oh,
that's
thank
awesome.
you.
I'm afraid if I stop for too long, I won't go back to it. I'll just like drop everything, sell my equipment or something. It's like, no.
Well, it was hard starting back up actually.
Yeah,
So
I bet.
when I stopped, maybe took 4 months. It actually took me 4 months to realize, oh yeah, I want to do it again. You know, because I wanted to reassess myself and see like if I had the passion to still do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, of course I have the passion to do it because I love connecting with people and I love helping other podcasters with their podcasts as well.
And you're good at it.
Thank you.
So
I'm okay. I'm still learning stuff. I think that's the great thing. I'm still learning stuff, and I think if I come to a point where I don't learn more, then I'm in a danger zone, because then
you're not growing
I'm
anymore.
not growing anymore.
Yeah.
So even now I'm learning stuff. Even so talking about like what I wanted to come back as, I wanted to come back with a different name. And I knew when I first started podcasting back in 2018, I knew I was going to change the name completely, because Talk Story is, well, first of all, there are other Talk Stories,
Right.
mainland wise. So if someone tries to, you know, I mean, even if you try to like make the name, like copyright the name or something, you know, make an actual business,
Mm-hmm.
there's still other Talk Stories out there. It's going to go into some legal troubles, and it's not, I don't know if there's going to be some confusion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, I don't want to deal with
Or
this.
look for your podcast and find someone else's podcast.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't think I want to do this. So I just started off Talk Story Podcast kind of as a test, honestly, to see if people would be interested. So it started off as like, I just wanted to see what it could be. I wasn't even dedicated to sticking with the name. I was of course going to change it, and even change the set design and everything. I just wanted to show people like, hey, you could do this as a mobile podcast, or you could start off something. I didn't expect it to be as big as it did. But then now I was like, okay, I'm going to come back with a new set, something more Joe Rogan-ish. You know what I mean? But what's different about mine is I sit on the floor.
Oh.
So, and we try to do more Japanese tea room style, because you know, for me, I work from home, but I sit on the floor and I have like this kind of a shorter table. I just type off of it and stuff like that. Before I kind of wanted to do more of a bar setting, and I was like, oh, you know what? Like one day, you know, a lot of my ideas come from when I take a shower or something.
I've said that so many times in this show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The best ideas come when you're taking a shower.
So I took a shower.
And I can totally dive into why that happens, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. You know, well, there's tons of ideas I have.
No, because you have the white noise of the water. It's relaxing you because you got the hot water. So it's relaxing your body. So it's allowing your subconscious to kind of come forward. And that is the one place in your life where you are taken care of and you're responsible only for yourself.
That is true.
Most of the time. I mean, you can take a shower with someone, but you're taking care of yourself. So that's where your mind is so totally at ease and almost puts you into a meditative state. Yeah. And that's where those wild ideas come from.
or when you're brushing your teeth, you know,
or when you're brushing your teeth, because again, you're taking care of yourself.
Right. Or washing hands.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Anything that has to do with hygienics, you know. Anyway, so I got this idea from taking a shower. I was like, okay, well, not from taking a shower, but I got it while I was taking a shower. And I was like, oh, I should just do something more Japanese tea room style, sit on the floor, and then do kind of like a drinking podcast, you know, because, you know, a lot of my friends kept saying like, oh, why don't we drink on the podcast? And I'm like, I don't know. And then I was like, I'm not a heavy drinker, honestly. I mean, it's funny for me because a lot of people know I'm always the D squared. So I don't drink a lot, but I was like, oh, let's just do a drinking podcast just to try it out. Right. So I always had this idea like, hey, you know, it should be kind of like a celebratory thing. So like Kampai, you know, it's a cheers. So I'm always cheersing to whoever's across from me, my guests, and also to the people watching as well.
That's awesome.
Know? And so from there, I just kind of built the set like that, just Japanese style, you know, tatami mat on the floor. You know, people were just sitting on these zabuton, you know, these cushions, you know, and from there we have camera switching. We have we upgraded our production, which is great, but we just wanted to do something more like, I don't know, something cool, something a little crazy.
It sounds like it's number one, it's cultural, right? But also it's very homey.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's very warm, hearth kind of
Mm-hmm.
situation where, because when you bring on that guest, you're probably putting them in a very comfortable position.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about me sitting on the floor, but because my knees are bad.
A lot of people say that, you know. Well, do you have to think like close to me, maybe?
Maybe. But I've
Maybe.
always had a problem sitting on the ground, even when I was a little kid.
Mm.
Like my legs just go numb.
Oh, really?
Yeah, totally. Like Indian style, on my knees, didn't matter.
Mm.
My knees, my legs go numb, and I can't stand up after that. It's all pins and needles, pins and needles.
You know, honestly, I had some people that came on that were like that, like, oh, you know, my knees are bad. I was like, okay, I'll just help you up after. You know what I mean? Well, I told them my story about my leg, and they go, okay, I don't feel bad.
If he
about
can get up, I should be able to get up.
I don't feel bad about my knees being sore. You know?
Yeah. I was like, my knees don't get sore. I stop feeling my hips. You know, it's just like I don't know. It's the weirdest thing. But I think it must be genetic, because even my youngest son can't sit Indian style at school. He's complained that he has
interesting
painful legs when he sits Indian style, cross legs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I told him, hey, you know, let your teacher know, and just like when you sit on the ground, put your legs forward.
Mm-hmm.
Try that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he's done that, he's been fine. But now he's in 6th grade and he sits on chairs. So
yeah, that's good. Because like in like elementary, there would be like,
yeah, you sit on the floor.
Yeah.
School circle.
Hawaiian class, they have you sit on the floor. At least for me,
man,
it was.
my legs were always like in terrible pain. I remember in 5th grade, the 4th and 5th grade, our auditorium didn't have chairs at the school I was at. It was just like a carpet. So everybody had to sit on the ground. So you come in there, you sit on the ground. Yeah, I always had trouble getting up.
Oh, that, you know what? That actually, so even like junior high, you know, for like assemblies or something, we'd sit on the floor in the cafeteria too. I never thought about that actually. But yeah,
I just always needed to put my legs forward.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just cross leg, just killed it.
Too bad for the person in front of you, right?
Too bad.
Just go
or good if I, you know, if they wanted to sit, you know, in between my legs or something like that in a lap.
Or if they needed a backrest,
or they needed a backrest, they could just lean back. Hey, lean back on my legs, please. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, that's a great idea for podcasting. You know, what they say on social media is like, if you want to be well known, do something that nobody else is doing. So that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is anybody else in America doing a video podcast where you're sitting on the ground at a Japanese style
area?
Yeah.
So it's
cool.
It's neat. It's a neat style. I love it because it puts me at ease too, more so.
Yeah.
In terms of like how I sit and stuff like that.
Did you grow up sitting at a style like that?
Sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
I grew up sitting on the floor.
No, I had friends growing up here who, like, you go in their living room or their dining room and there's like no chairs.
Well, you know, honestly, I would sit on the ground while playing video games and stuff like that. I'd sit on the ground, look up at the TV. So yeah, I would say that's more of how I grew up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's comfortable. Okay.
Yeah, it's comfortable.
Yeah, that's way out of my comfort zone.
Well, it keeps you grounded. You know what I mean?
Okay. I'll walk around barefoot. That's fine. I'll do that. How about that?
Oh, me too. I'll go barefoot and sit on the ground too. Yeah.
Outside though, I go barefoot everywhere. I used to wear those the toe running shoes.
Oh, the Tobbies?
The Vibram 5-finger running shoes.
Oh, okay.
Not the Tobbies, but they look like Tobbies, but they have all 5 fingers.
Oh.
All 5 toes.
5 fingers.
5 toes.
You have 5 fingers for your feet.
Well, so they're like Vibram 5 fingers or something like that. Yeah, but you know the running shoes with the toes.
Mm-hmm.
Love those things. Super awesome.
Are they fitted well? So when you put it on,
you have to try a number of them on to get the right fit.
Oh, okay.
You can't just go based off of your shoe size because it's not necessary, because you can't have wiggle room inside there. Like if you wear loose shoes or something, it's not going to work with these. You have to have something that's snug, that's almost like a second skin. So, but when you start running with them, what I noticed, and here we go off on a tangent talking about running, I started to notice the muscles in my feet were getting sore in a way that I'd never felt before. And the muscles in the the front of my shin, or the front of my leg, my shin area, were getting sore. And it wasn't like painful sore. It was more like, these muscles are getting worked in a way that they've never been worked for in my life, because I've been wearing shoes all this time. So you really start to, and then my toes started to like expand and like stretch out.
Oh, interesting.
So my toes look like monkey toes.
Well, but I mean, at least there's different muscle groups that you're working with.
You're totally working out the muscles in your feet, which you don't do really with wearing shoes. Right. Especially padded shoes and stuff like that. And people they wear shoes all the time. Their toes are all like scrunched up and bunched up. And then here my toes, all spread out and stuff.
Wow.
So people look at my feet, it's like, oh, you have monkey feet. It's like, no, you have like arrow feet, actually. Your feet are wrong. My feet look nice. My mommy said so.
Well, while you're holding a mic with your foot, you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, this is great. Hey, maybe you could do that for your podcast. You hold feet with your hold the mic
with my feet. Yeah. If by the wire, probably definitely could. Yeah. Or with these the shock mount. Yeah, I could totally hold the shock mount.
Actually, that would be neat. I don't think anybody has ever done that.
Wasn't Joe Coy, the comedian, talking about how Filipino moms pick up their it's a Filipino mom when she's picking up stuff with her feet.
But my mom would do. Well, my mom's Filipino, so she would do that. Yeah. I don't know if I did that.
Okay, it's because your mom was picking up all your laundry.
Well, no. I use my hands. I just picking up my laundry like that.
There's a guy, I saw him on YouTube because I watch stupid videos on YouTube, that he's like a gymnast. He does handstands and stuff like that. But he was doing this thing where he's walking around on his hands on all fours.
Interesting.
Like I don't know, like a dog.
Yeah.
But he would do that for a few minutes every day, and every day he would do 1 minute longer, 1 minute longer, 1 minute longer, to the point where his hands are like these muscular, massive things.
Oh, interesting.
Because he's walking like an ape.
Yeah.
Except not on his fists, but actually on his palms.
So does he do that everywhere? Like if he goes to
he's doing it around his house and everything like that. So he would do it like for a certain time period during the day, and then just try to extend it. He's one of those people that likes to do handstands and American Ninja Warrior type stuff. So really big into the hand strength and grip and stuff like that. So yeah, his hands like morphed into like these giant things.
Oh my god!
His forearms are just these massive things. Now I'm looking at myself like, dude, I should be walking around on all fours for a little bit.
Like a gorilla,
Yeah. Get these gorilla arms.
Yeah.
And that's all you have to do is walk around on all fours for a little bit.
Imagine going to like the airport. You're going through like TSA and they go, sir, you can stand up. No. I'm standing right now.
Take off your shoes. He's not wearing anything.
Is his shoes? He has his shoes on his hands. Be like, oh wait, let me take it off real quick. He has to use his mouth to take off the ties on his hands.
I guess it would make washing your hands very important. Yeah.
Well, like you said, it's the only time you're pampering yourself, right? So.
Maybe he comes up with really great ideas. But yeah, that's so cool. I love thinking about things like that can get you in touch with like your subconscious and the place in your mind where ideas come out and come forward. So
in the bathroom.
Well, when you're showering, I don't know. I don't know if good ideas come when you're taking a dump.
No, honestly, I had some great ideas.
Really?
While taking a dump.
I don't. I guess it's, watching YouTube or something on your phone.
Well, it gives me time to think, because I'm like, it's kind of like a high stakes situation. Like you're just like, well, especially if it's bad, you know what I mean? Because then you're just like,
Was it the tacos?
It could Taco Bell, right? It could have been Taco Bell, and then the blood rushing because I'm just like, why am I in this position? And then I'm like, oh, that's a great idea, for a podcast.
That's awesome.
That's awesome talking about the bathroom.
Yeah, no. I think that's the great thing about having podcasts is that you don't have it's not the 10-minute thing or I'll give you 15 minutes of my time. It's like, nah, dude, I want can I get an hour? What? We're going to talk for an hour? I've had a bunch of guests that thought when I told them, it's going to be an hour, we're going to talk, and we usually break. We usually talk for 20 minutes and have a break, or 30 minutes and then take a quick break and split it up. And they're like, whoa, 30 minutes? We can talk for 30 minutes? I'm like, just wait. Especially the 20-minute segments, it would fly. The first one would fly by like like a snap.
Yeah.
And the timer would almost go off, and the people would be like, "Whoa, that was 20 minutes already?" It's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we've been talking for a while. I'm looking at the timer right now. What is it?
It's like 45, right? 45 minutes, maybe.
55.
55?
Well, that's what we've been recording.
That's awesome.
But yeah, no, I think, and that's kind of the realm of podcasts that I really like, is that not only are you getting into depth and talking for a long period of time, but over that long period of time, different conversations and different ideas and stuff come out and come up that you probably wouldn't have thought of in the 5-minute clip or the 10-minute clip that you had.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's like therapy.
Totally.
You know, I think a lot of people, they start podcasts because it's kind of like it's therapeutic for themselves.
Yeah.
Or they got to vent, you know, about work and stuff like that. And then that's the only way they can vent is through a podcast.
But then a lot of people run out of ideas.
That's true.
You know, and then they're like, oh, what is it? The average podcast doesn't go past 8 episodes.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. It's something, a vast majority of podcasts don't go past 8.
Oh.
Because people realize, number one, it's a production thing. So you have to produce it and you have to edit it and post it out there. Number 2, you have to have ideas on what to talk about. And a lot of people start off and it's like, yeah, they have a lot to talk about, but then for like one subject, then what do you do after that? You know? And then you also have people who get kind of turned off by not getting enough viewership or listenership. I say, oh, nobody's listening to my stuff, so I'm not going to do it. Well, you got to just keep pushing forward. I mean, you didn't build an audience in a day. You know, it takes longer.
It takes long.
It's a grind. You got to do it.
And you know, Joe Rogan, I remember he would say that too for people that go into podcasting, because he said if you're going into podcasting for the money, you're gonna fail quickly, because for him it was just a passion of his. It's the same ideas like you and I. We go into it because we want to learn about people. We want to. I mean, for me, it's a little therapeutic too, because I have this job where I'm very introverted, just typing on a computer. It's just me and the computer. But then I can do something like this, which is more extroverted, you know, that kind of energy. So it balances me out, you know. And you know, when I do stuff like accounting, it's like, okay, whatever. You know, I'm cracking numbers all day.
It's just paying the bills. Yeah,
it's just paying the bills. But then like, I like that interaction, you know, and that's why with podcasting, like Joe Rogan said, you know, if you just do it for the money, it's not sustainable. But if you do it because it's a passion, or if it's something more than just getting a paycheck at the end, then you'll last longer. It's more meaningful, you know?
Yeah.
And like stuff like this is great interaction. You know what I mean? That's funny that people would say like, oh, 30 minutes episode, like that's long, you know? But it's like,
I can't talk for 30 minutes. Well, yeah, you can.
Be surprised.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think that's definitely what I like about it, is that you start to get to people's passions, because when you start talking for that long, you either get bored and you stop talking and you have nothing else to talk about, or you get really deep and you start talking about what really makes the person tick. Like, why do you get up and go to work every day? Like, why do you do the things that you do? What is your life philosophy? What's your favorite color? What kind of food do you like to eat? You know, stuff like that.
Yeah, because there's, I mean, my friend Ricky, we had this funny talk before where we would talk about how even people on phones and stuff like that, you know, how it's kind of like a robot, you know, like they're communicating with a robot every single day, you know, with the phone being the robot. So it's like a human robot. Not a human robot, but it's like a human, and then that's how they interact every day. So then people get up, and then it's like that connection, that's their connection. So even with like getting up for like a job and stuff like that, it's like, okay, what's keeping people going, you know, versus something like this where it's interaction, it's something different, you know, and it's or entrepreneurs in general, you know, when they're getting out with their business and they're doing something different instead of being sucked into this device or whatever, or even getting sucked in with their job. You know, I remember I had this talk about how sometimes a job can be in a form of I don't know, like like control in a way, because people look at a job as sometimes it's draining and it's negative, right? Feelings go towards it. They work like a 8 to 5. It's not really a 9 to 5 like how people say. It's more of 8 to 5 or 8 to 6 sometimes, and it's like a negative connotation. Like they work super hard and they come home and they spill out all their negative stuff. But I don't know where I was going with this, but the thing is with that, with doing something like podcasting or even just entrepreneurial stuff, I think that's what I was getting.
It's an outlet kind of thing.
It's an outlet,
Yeah.
And it's a way for people to unwind, or even just, I mean, sometimes it is hard. You know what I mean? As a podcaster, it's hard to even try to get people to view a show or something. Or even for entrepreneurs to get their business out there, it's hard for them to just put themselves out there and like, I have a product, are people going to value it, But like going back to what like Joe Rogan said, if it's a passion and it's something that's sustainable enough as a passion, then you just got to keep grinding at it.
Yeah.
Try different things, like for myself, I just try different things, and some things work, some things don't. That's okay. Just keep going. And if I'm having fun with it, then that's the beauty of it.
Is that like your main advice for anyone that's wanting to start talking or start doing a podcast?
Yeah, I think for people that want to get into podcasting, you have to go into the mindset of, and it could be any topic, you don't even have to have a plan. You just go in it. And I think the best advice is just to have fun. Especially for, I know this other guy who does Talk Story Podcast. His name is Talk Story Podcast, and he found me and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm sorry." And I was like, "No, I'm changing my name. Don't worry about it." And he talks about video games and stuff like that, and I was like, "Great, you're having fun doing it. That's the important part. Don't worry about the views or if people are gonna click on your stuff. If you have one listener, that's great. One listener can turn into 2. Or 2 can turn into 4. It's all about duplication in the end. But don't worry about the views. If you enjoy what you're doing, that's sustainable enough. That's going to carry you farther. And if you want to get the views, then you just try different things. If you enjoy what you're doing, just try to up it. If you want to play video games while you're podcasting, play a video game while you're podcasting. Or, there's a guy I know who, shout out to Steve Young. He barbecues while he podcasts.
Nice.
And I was like, and he just records on his phone, and I'm like, barbecue to movies. That's his podcast.
That's
what I mean?
Awesome. Yeah.
So, you just gotta just find something that you enjoy doing. If it is podcasting, find something you enjoy as a topic, or enjoy the process of it. Just try to have fun with it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a content creator, you just have to have fun. And I think that will take people farther than just, I'm going to do it for the money or whatever.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's work.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be putting in work to make it whatever level of success you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not having fun doing it and it's work,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, then it's not going to be a success. It's not going to be something that you continue doing. It's like going to the gym. Like if you go to the gym and it sucks every time you go to the gym,
Mm-hmm.
you're probably not going to continue going to the gym. But if you go to the gym and you have a little bit of fun with it and you start seeing results from it, that's going to motivate you to go. So same kind of topic and idea when you're doing anything else with your passion, entrepreneurship, podcasting, or anything. It's like, you got to be willing to do the suck first, and just work through it.
That actually goes into, so like, I'll give an example, because I recently, my wife and I have been taking Kali Eskrima classes. So we've been doing
That's the stick fighting?
stick fighting.
Nice.
And we shout out to Sifu Nate.
I could just see you and your wife going at each other with these sticks.
It's funny because my wife wanted to do it.
Uh-huh.
We connected with Sifu Nate. Shout out, giving a lot of shout outs today.
Yeah.
But he my wife reached out to him. He teaches people in Kailua, because he teaches at UFC gym Kailua. but he does an outdoor class for Kali Eskrima. He does like a private class with myself and my wife and another person. And yeah, we've just been learning from him, and it's great because like for me, it's I'm applying it for just different things. I'm having fun with it, and I think that's why it's sustainable for me to learn more about it. Learn defense, practical situations where I'm actually going to use just one stick, and then I can figure out different moves with it. Even with boxing, I've been learning boxing. Guitar. Actually, this is all during my break. Boxing, guitar. I've been doing all these different things, and I've been having fun just because it's like, wow, I wish I had the time to do like I did this earlier, because I'm enjoying it now. I'm enjoying learning, and I just been trying to find things that I could learn, so I can keep going. But it's sustainable for me, like learning to box and stuff like that. So it's been sustainable and it keeps me going. So it's like, going back to the topic with
it's fun.
Content creating. Yeah. It's all about the fun, what you love to do. And if you're finding new things about it every time, you're still going to keep doing it. You know what I mean? And, yeah, that's an example. Like, yeah. So that's a little bit, I don't know if a lot of people know that I've been doing a lot of different things, kickboxing and stuff like that, or even just boxing. So
yeah, it's like people only know what you put out on social media about, So
yeah.
Like, yeah, they don't know that we started getting into airsoft, me and my sons.
Nice.
Yeah. No, dude, that's so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love like going out there and shooting the kids.
Where do you guys
totally
go?
Not fair. Dogs of War. Shout out to Dogs of War.
Oh, more shout outs.
More shout outs. Dogs
awesome.
of War out in Kapolei. If you haven't tried airsoft, God, it's fun.
Yeah.
Go out there for a birthday party with the kids and stuff like that and light them up.
You get the kids.
I'll be honest, I have bruises all over my body from getting hit and stuff like that. And the bruises will stay for like a week. So, yeah. I got hit in the forehead.
Oh, so that's why you're wearing a long sleeve shirt.
Yeah, no.
You're covering up all the welts.
Covering up all my gangster tattoos also.
East side or west side?
No, south side. I'm a Saudi.
Well, I'm in east side. So shout out to the east side,
Yeah, it's fun. But what time is it? Yeah, going over an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll close out here. Gaven, thank you so much for coming on and sharing. And I hope that your podcast finds so much more success, especially. So the brand new podcast you're using with the whole new line of like video channels and stuff like that, audio channels, or are you connecting it to the old one?
So I have a different channel now.
Okay.
For YouTube, but for like Spotify or it's funny. So I use Buzzsprout. Shout out to Buzzsprout, which is a podcast hosting site. Actually, quick thing with podcasting. If you're a podcaster, you want to get into podcasting, get a podcasting hosting site like Anchor, which is free, or there's Buzzsprout. There's other sites too. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but it's just easier to put it on there and then distribute it to
all the other platforms.
All the other platforms. Yeah. So for Buzzsprout, I stuck with them since the beginning, and it is you pay every month, but all my episodes stay there. So I kind of rebranded. Well, not rebranded, but I kind of started off new again. So instead of TSP, which is what my old one was, Talk Story Podcast, it's KSP1. So I started off with my wife's episode, KSP #1, but all my other episodes are still there.
Nice. Very nice. All right, man. I wish you the best of luck. Thank you again so much for coming on Hawaii Real.
Thank you so much.
So great getting to connect with you and hear your story, your real story.
Thank you. No, thank you for having me. I can't thank you enough for, first off, just podcasting in general, because there's not enough storytellers out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And having me on. I mean, I'm super honored to be here and just talk about my nonsense. I don't know. You know?
Well, that's like what podcasts are sometimes. They're just nonsense.
Mhm.
That's why I always tell my guests, like, hey, be ready to go off on tangents because I go.
That's good.
I was talking about like the Matrix or something with one of my former guests, or prior guests. Yeah, I don't know how we got going on the Matrix. Matrix 4 is coming out, everybody.
Oh yeah, shout out to Matrix.
Shout out to Keanu. Go get him.
Shout out to Keanu. Shout out to Trinity. You know.
I was just like reminiscing, like that came out when I was in college, like the first one.
Oh,
It's
man.
been that long. I'm an old guy. Yeah, I know you just finished college. Yeah, give me a break here.
Well, I'm an older student. You know, I'm untraditional. That's
Non-traditional student. Okay.
non-traditional. Yeah.
All right, Gavin. It's been great.
Thank you again, Ioane.
All right, and as always, stay happy, Hoy.